Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sasaraja Sarajachayaya Vidyam Pancha Parvana Magrataha Tamisram Andatamisram Tamo Moho Mahatamaha Sasarajachayaya Vidyam Pancha Parvana Magrataha Tamisram Antatamisram Tamo Moho Mahatamaha. First of all, Brahma created from his shadow the coverings of ignorance of the conditioned souls. They are 5 in number and are called Tamishra, Anda Tamishra, Tamas, Moha, and Maha Moha. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The conditioned souls are living entities who come to the material world to enjoy sense gratification, are covered in the beginning by 5 different conditions. The first condition is a covering of tamisra, or anger. Constitutionally, each and every living entity has minute independence. It is misuse of that minute independence for the conditioned soul to think that he can also enjoy like the Supreme Lord, or to think, why shall I not be a free enjoyer like the Supreme Lord? This forgetfulness of his constitutional position is due to anger or envy. The living entity, being eternally a part and parcel, servitor of the Supreme Lord, can never by constitution be an equal enjoyer with the Lord. When he forgets this, however, and tries to be one with him, his condition is called Tamisra. Even in the field of spiritual realization, this Tamisra mentality of the living entity is hard to overcome. In trying to get out of the entanglement of material life, there are many who want to be one with the Supreme, even in their transcendental activities. This lower grade mentality of Tamisra continues. Anda Tamisra involves considering death to be the ultimate end. The atheists generally think that the body is the self and that everything is therefore ended with the end of the body. Thus, they want to enjoy material life as far as possible during the existence of the body. Their theory is, as long as you live, you should live prosperously. Never mind whether you commit all kinds of so-called sins. You must eat sumptuously, beg, borrow, and steal. And if you think that by stealing and borrowing you are being entangled in sinful activities by which you will have to pay, then just forget that misconception, because after death, everything is finished. No one is responsible for anything he does during his life. This atheistic conception of life is killing human civilization, for it is without knowledge or the continuation of eternal life. This andatamisra, ignorance, is due to tamas. The condition of not knowing anything about the spirit soul is called tamas. This material world is also generally called tamas, because 99% of its living entities are ignorant of their identity as soul. Almost everyone is thinking that he is this body. He has no information of the spirit soul. Guided by this misconception, one always thinks, this is my body, and anything in relation with this body is mine. For such misguided living entities, sex life is the background of material existence. Actually, the conditioned soul and ignorance in this material world are simply guided by sex life. And as soon as they get the opportunity for sex life, they become attached to so-called home, motherland, children, wealth, and opulence. As these attachments increase, moha, or the illusion of the bodily concept of life, also increases. Thus the idea that I am this body and everything belonging to this body is mine also increases. And as the whole world is put into moha, sectarian societies, families, and nationalities are created, and they fight with one another. Mahamoha means to be mad after material enjoyment. Especially in this age of Kali, everyone is overwhelmed by the madness to accumulate paraphernalia for material enjoyments. These definitions are very nicely given in Vishnu Purana, wherein it is said, Tamo viveka mohasyad antakarana vibramaha mahamohas tu vigyeyo gramya bhoga sukhaishana maradam hyanda thamisram krodha uchyate avidya pancha parvaishya pradhur bhuta mahatmanaha. In this very beautiful, comprehensive purport, Srila Prabhupada is revealing the very basic foundation of material bondage and suffering. Ignorance. Ignorance that we are the spirit soul. The ignorance of thinking. Ignorance of forgetting we are the spirit soul. And thinking we are this body. And those things in relation to the body are mine. Srila Prabhupada explains how it is due to envy that we fall into this condition. When the eternal soul misuses its minute independence to want to be the enjoyer rather than the servant, Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. We are all, by our eternal nature, meant to be enjoyed by Krishna. When we want to enjoy, we are competing with the Lord. Everything within the creation is Krishna's property. Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. Bhoktaram Jakatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. Therefore, everything is meant for Krishna's pleasure. As soon as we think that I am the enjoyer and anything is meant for our enjoyment, then we are under the influence of envy and ignorance. And in our struggle to try to enjoy in this world, we create so many karmic activities and must accept their consequent reactions. And thus we become endlessly entangled. Thus Prahlad Maharaj, the great Mahajan, has told that the apparent attempts to make solutions for the problems in this world create more complex and difficult problems than the original problem. That is material life. It is like a web of a spider. The more the fly struggles to get out of that web, the more the fly is bound and entangled by it. This is creation. Thus the Lord descends into this world to teach us what is our real prospect, what we should really strive for. What is the one and only real happiness? Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam braja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayisha vimasusha. This is the process of real happiness, to surrender to Krishna. Without surrendering to Krishna, we can never disentangle ourselves from the miseries of material existence. Krishna tells in Gita that from the highest planet in this material world down to the lowest, they are all places of suffering. They are all places of repeated birth and death. But when we become entangled by the conception that I am this body, we want to enjoy. But the body's temporary. Srila Prabhupada explains herein that just to try to justify their foolishness, people create so many philosophies and psychologies and ideologies, that after this body is dead, everything is finished. Therefore, whatever means, try to enjoy while you have the chance to enjoy. This misconception is very convincing and pleasing to one who is in ignorance. But the fact is, whether you believe fire will burn or not, if you touch it, it burns. That is the law of nature. Whether you believe in the laws of gravity or not, the fact is, what goes up must come down. The laws of nature are there. For every action there is an equal corresponding reaction. And when we understand this, then we take a sense of responsibility for our lives. But so much entangling is this material existence. Daivi yeshu gunamayi mama maya duratira. So powerful is material energy. Only the Creator, only the all-merciful Lord Himself can rescue us. Therefore, this is knowledge. Real happiness is to free ourselves from the envy, lust, anger, pride, illusion of this world, and revive our original natural consciousness of loving servants of the Lord. And how is that possible? It is only possible by surrendering to Krishna. Therefore, Krishna tells, abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. Today, my very dear, merciful friend, Brajahari Prabhu, has requested me to speak on the subject of Lord Vamanadev's appearance, as well as that of Srila Jiva Goswami. When such a esteemed and loving Vaishnava makes a request, we must accept as an order upon our head. In regard to this verse, how surrender is the only path of truth and happiness, Bali Maharaj was an instrument of the Supreme Personality of Godhead to teach us the path of true surrender. In fact, he is the most resplendent example of the 9th process of devotional service, Atmanivedanam, surrendering everything to the Lord. With your permission, I would like to briefly speak on this subject matter. I'm very honored and grateful to be back in Sri Radha Ras Bihari Mandir after long time of separation. Thank you very much for your encouragement, allowing me to serve you today. Srila Prabhupada explains, in this world, there is always conflict between the good and the bad, the divine and the mundane, the demons and the demigods. It is the nature of material life. Why? Because there are 3 modes of material nature. At the very beginning of creation, the Lord manifested the Mahatattva. Within the Mahatattva, all the 26 ingredients, including the 3 modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance. But they were all inanimate. They were all still. Until Lord Karanadakshayi Vishnu glanced upon his creation. By that glance, not only does he impregnate creation with all living entities whose karma was there to enjoy and suffer, but he also impregnated creation with his own power of kala, or time. Time activated the 3 modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance. And through the activation of these 3 modes, all the 26 elements began to go through processes of transformations. And thus, the 8,400,000 species of life and everything else we see within the universe was manifested. So what is material world? Material world is the constant activity of goodness, passion, and ignorance, these 3 gunas, being activated by the Lord who has appeared as time. So thus, in this activity, there's always this competition between those who are influenced by the modes of nature. And by the nature of ignorance, everyone always thinks that they're right. The demons, who are influenced by the modes of ignorance and passion, they really believe that they're right. Hiranyakashipu really felt that he was a good person, that he was doing the right thing, that whatever he did was for the ultimate benefit of the world, and that Vishnu was a rascal. He was simply a disturbance. He was simply creating an obstruction to the real progress of society. He was an obstacle to the real welfare of living beings. This was his false ego. Recently I was in Germany, and some devotee historians were telling me about Hitler. At one time, he was just a poor artist who was rejected from art school. He was living like a beggar. He had nothing. He was studying the Vedas and studying other Egyptian history and philosophy, Vedic history and philosophy, Greek history and philosophy. And his conclusion was that he was an avatar, that he was actually a descent of God within this world to cleanse the impurities on this planet and reestablish the real God-conscious Aryan civilization. Hare Krishna. He really believed that. To the core of his heart, he believed that he was destined to leave Germany and the world to the real prosperity of the kingdom of God. Hare Krishna. Yes? And he was so convinced, he convinced so many people around him. And even if he murdered, even if he did so many horrible things, he was convinced that it was his destiny. He was the second coming of Christ. He was an avatar. Hare Krishna. Hiranyakashipu also was convinced that he was the greatest, he was the most powerful, and whatever came to his mind was the highest truth. This is the nature of the false ego. So pitiable, so lamentable, and so dangerous. So yes, the demons, they feel that they are right, and they're willing to fight for the highest cause. The demigods feel that they're right. People in the mode of goodness, people in the mode of ignorance, they're always going to be competing. So therefore, there's a whole history in Srimad Bhagavatam that is described. But do you know how it all begins? With false ego. That's where all problems really begin, with our false ego. And it began with the false ego of a devotee. His name, Indra. Very great devotee. Don't think he's just a demigod. He's a devotee. Brihad Bhagavatamrita explains when he performs yajna for Vishnu, Vishnu appears. Personally, physically appears and accepts the offerings. He's a powerful devotee. He's a karma mishra bhakta. His devotion, his service to Lord Vishnu is mixed with his desires for personal sense gratification because he has this false ego still, with all respects. So one day, Durvasa Muni was walking along the pathway of the road, and he happened to see Indra passing by on his mighty elephant. Durvasa Muni is walking with his bare feet, and Indra's riding on his elephant. But that's proper, because one is the king and one is the sadhu. But still, the sadhu has a more dignified position. So he had a beautiful garland, Durvasa Muni, that was around his own neck. He took it off, and out of mercy, he handed it to Indra, who was on top of his elephant. Indra accepted that garland. But due to his false ego, he didn't really appreciate it properly. So instead of honoring it properly, he put it on the trunk of his elephant. And Srila Prabhupada explains, elephants do not understand the value of Mahaprasad. So the elephant just, with his trunk, threw the garland between his two gigantic legs, and the rubbing of his legs crushed the garland. Now Durvasa Muni, he understood the disease of Indra's false ego. You see, great personalities, they could take one little thing and see so much in it. One may think, what kind of little thing? A garland? So much trouble to create to Indra and his whole race because of a garland? It's not just the garland. It's the mentality. Just like we have often cited Srila Prabhupada saying that Krishna does not just see what we do, he sees the purpose in which everything is offered. And that means everything positive or negative. If you have a purpose of real love, devotion, genuine humility when we offer something to the Lord takes great pleasure in that, even if it's a leaf or a flower or fruit or a little water. Krishna will consider in his own supremely gracious way that he cannot repay his devotee for their love when he's even offered a leaf or a little water. However, if we have egoistic motives, if we have ill motives, Krishna also sees that purpose. So thus, Durvasa Muni, he saw this little incident of the garland. He saw a disease in Indra's heart, ahankar. He's so proud. What happens when you become proud? You become insensitive to the importance of giving respect to others. This is the very basis of the Vedic culture, or for that matter, the Vaishnav culture, is honor and respect to others. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu emphasized, amanina, manadena. We must offer all respect to others and expect none in return. This is culture. Without this consciousness, a society really has no substantial culture at all. Etiquette is about respect. And respect is about humility. So he saw this disease, and Durvasa Muni gave him good remedy. He cursed him. You, so much fame and prestige, so much wealth, so much property, I curse you to go into poverty. Hare Krishna. That's all it took. just offending a Vaishnav, because Durvasa Muni is also Vaishnav. Indra's a Vaishnav. What it is two Vaishnavas meeting on a road, and look what happened. Just both two Vaishnavas walking down the street. One is on an elephant, one is walking, and look what happened. The demigods lost everything. Not only Indra, but what a leader does, all their followers also have to share reactions. So Indra and all the demigods lost everything. So what could they do? The demons, headed by Bali Maharaj, the king of the demons. He wasn't a demon, but he was the king of the demons. Sometimes that happens. Not everything is black and white in this world. We like to make it that way because it's convenient, but it just isn't that way. We have to be very careful of how we discriminate and how we're sensitive toward our dealings with others, because their apparent position, their apparent physical situation may not reflect their relationship with God within their heart. So Bali Maharaj and his race of Daitas, they conquered the heavens. And what could the demigods do? This is Krishna's mercy. With all their power, with all their influence, with all their wealth, Daviheshu gunamayi mama maya duratyaja. All they could do was surrender to Krishna. So then by Krishna's plan, there was a whole incredible pastime of the churning of the ocean of milk with the Mandara mountain and Vashuki, the serpent. And Kurma avatar came to be the base, and they churned, and so many things came out. The poison came out first, and it was about to destroy all living beings, but Vaishnavanam Yatashambhu, the greatest of all Vaishnavas, who manifested the highest service of showing compassion to the other living beings, drank that poison, Lord Shiva. And the nectar came. The demon stole it. Mohini Murti knew exactly what their weakness was. She didn't have to fight. All she had to do was glance and smile. That was good enough. How wonderful is the Lord. Here are all the demons assembled together with all their weapons, with all their powers. The demigods could not stand. The whole demigod race with all their armies could not stand before them at that time. But Mohini Murti defeated them all thoroughly. They all surrendered to her simply by the raising of her eyebrows, the glance of her eyes, and her charming smile. Hare Krishna. And through her influence, the demigods got the nectar, and they defeated the demons. In fact, Bali was killed. But Shukracharya, his guru, performed certain types of special mystic yogic processes to bring him back to life. Bali Maharaj, very intelligent personality. He was the son of Virochan, grandson of Prahlad, great-grandson of Hiranyakashipu, great-grand nephew of Hiranyaksha, a very mixed up type of family heritage. So he performed yajna to please his guru, Shukracharya. And his Guru Maharaj was very pleased with him. In fact, he arranged for the descendants of Bhrigu Muni to come to perform this yajna. And his disposition, his good qualities, were so pleasing to everyone that the descendants of Bhrigu showered blessings upon him. His guru, Shukra, showered blessings upon him. And by the performance of this particular sacrifice, performed by such great personalities, he received such blessings that he became undefeatable in his power. His body was radiating with light, with energy. He gathered his army together and marched to Indrapur. And when Indra saw Bali Maharaj with his associates surrounding his abode, he was overcome with fear. What can I do? Just Bali Maharaj's effulgence alone manifested such power that he could single-handedly destroy everyone. What to speak of his magnificent armies? So Indra approached his guru, Brihaspati, and asked, what to do? I don't see any hope of fighting against Bali Maharaj now. Look at his powers. Brihaspati said that he has pleased his guru. He has satisfied his guru and the Brahmins. What to speak of the descendants of Bhrigu? Therefore, time is on his side. There's no use trying to fight him. You will be crushed. The best thing to do is become invisible. Evacuate your kingdom and hide. Hare Krishna. Very powerful. This idea of evacuation, since time immemorial. Whoever we are, material nature always has powers beyond ourselves. America, the most powerful nation in the world, greatest wealth, greatest influence, greatest nuclear arsenal. Yes, powerful nation. But when Katrina is a lady's name, when Katrina, the hurricane, came from the Gulf Coast to New Orleans, the President, the National Guard, the U.S., the United States Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force, all the police, what did they say? Evacuate. There's nothing we can do. Just get out. Leave your homes, leave everything. Take whatever little you can take with you, but get out. Can you imagine? In Louisiana, New Orleans, very powerful city. It's one of the greatest places of tourism for the world. It's one of the greatest places for sense gratification and the modes of passion and ignorance in the world. And there's a lot of wealthy people who cash in on that. There's multi-millionaires. There's billionaires that live there. But what could they do? They had to leave their homes, leave their property, leave their expensive furniture, and just take with them whatever they can hold in their hand and throw in their car and get out for their lives. Haribol. And then the winds and the floods, devastation. Devastation. And it may be years before they could go back to their homes. This is the power of material nature. Whoever we are, no one is exempt. So the demons, they came like a hurricane to Indraloka. And Brihaspati, who was like the United States government, said, don't try to fight it. Get out. Otherwise you will not have even breath. You will not even have your breath. That's all. Just get out, and at least you could leave with your breath. And that's what the demigods did. They became poverty-stricken. They had nothing. They were just wandering around like fugitive refugees, hiding from the demons. Very embarrassing situation. And there was nothing they could do. Their mother, Aditi, was feeling great distress to see her children in such a suffering condition. But what could she do? Her husband, Kashyapa Muni, was in his hermitage in the jungle performing tapasya, meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Great devotee. Aditi, for a long time, many years, was suffering. She could not even communicate with her children. Seeing them deprived of everything. Finally, after so many years of waiting, Kashyapa Muni came out of his meditation. And he saw that his good wife was lamenting. So he asked her, "Is there some problem in our ashram? How is everything?" She said, "The ashram is fine. But everywhere else, there's problems. Our children, Indra, Varuna, Vayu, our children, they have been conquered by the demons. They're homeless, hiding like beggars, refugees. What to do? I cannot tolerate this. It's causing too much pain to my heart." This is a mother's love. A mother's love is selfless. Aditi cared nothing for herself, but she could not tolerate seeing the pangs of her children. She knew her children's shortcomings and defects. She knew the mistakes that they make. But still, for a mother, that is not important. They're my children. I love them. I cannot tolerate to see them suffer. She had such determination to help. So Kashyapa Muni saw his wife's heart and told her that the only possibility of bringing back the happiness to your children under this condition is you must worship Lord Vasudeva. So she asked how this should be done. He instructed her in the process of the Payovrata sacrifice. Payovrata sacrifice is a very, very detailed act of devotional service, of fasting, worshipping the Guru, worshipping the Lord, chanting mantras, keeping very, very clean and very perfectly situated in your consciousness for 12 days. And the whole purpose of the Payovrata sacrifice is to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So she performed it exactly according to her husband's direction. After 12 days, the Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared to her, Lord Narayan. He was carrying the conch shell, the Sudarshan chakra, the gada, club, and lotus flower. He had beautiful golden crown, Kostubamani, celestial jewels, brilliant yellow dhoti. Aditi fell at his lotus feet. She rose with folded palms. She was in so much ecstasy seeing the Lord that tears were pouring from her eyes. She was so choked up, she could not even speak. But finally, with great effort, she offered her obeisances and her surrender to the Lord. Lord Narayan told Aditi that I know exactly why you have approached me. I know your problem. And yes, I will bring back the wealth of your children. I will personally do it by becoming your son. He said, you should worship your husband. I will manifest myself within your husband's body. And if you worship your husband properly, then I will enter into your womb and appear as your own son. The Lord disappeared and then appeared within the heart of Kashyapa Muni. Aditi served her husband with great faithfulness, chastity, and devotion. And Srila Prabhupada explains, just like in the forest, when two pieces of wood are pushed together by the wind, fire is created. Now, fire is not wood, and fire is not wind. So how is it that wind and wood create fire? It's another element that's caused by the interaction. So Srila Prabhupada explains on the transcendental platform, Aditi and Kashyapa came together. And from their union, the Supreme Personality of Godhead manifested. The Supreme Personality of Godhead entered into the womb of Aditi. And on this day, the Dwadasi, on the month of Shravan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared from the womb of Aditi. Therefore, this day is known as Vijaya, the day of victory. He appeared in his four-arm form as Narayan from Vaikuntha. They worshipped him with great love. And then right in front of their eyes, that four-arm form of Narayan transformed into a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful little Brahmin boy. He had a golden complexion, golden hair. He was a dwarf. Therefore his name, Vamanadev. When the Lord transformed into this form, he wasn't just a little baby, he was a little dwarf. Soon all the demigods, the sages, and the rishis came to celebrate the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They gave him various gifts. He was given a deer skin. He was given Rudraksha beads. Lord Brahma gave him Kamandalu, a water pot. And Goddess Parvati gave him his first alms when he went out to beg. He had a little stick and an umbrella. Little Vamanadev performed a yajna, and then he decided that he would go to meet Bali Maharaj, who was on the banks of the Narmada River performing an Aswamedha yajna. Bali Maharaj performed 100 Aswamedha yajnas. When he was ruling, very powerful. So little Vamanadev, just by himself, walked with his bare feet. And he came upon the arena of the sacrifice on the banks of Narmada River. When Bali Maharaj saw him, this little dwarf was so effulgent, so beautiful. He radiated such purity and compassion. Bali Maharaj's heart filled with joy. He stood up, and all the Brahmins who were performing the yajna with him, they all stood up to offer honor and welcome to Lord Vamanadev. Bali Maharaj bowed to him, and with deep affection, he gave him a very, very honorable seat. And then Bali Maharaj, according to proper etiquette, washed the feet of Vamanat Avatar. Those same feet that later became the source of the Ganges, that same feet who Lord Shiva wants to keep that water always on his head, was drunk by Bali Maharaj with great feeling. Then Bali Maharaj offered Vamanadev whatever gift he so desired. He said, "You have come, you have blessed us. Such a blessing you have given by your presence. You have sanctified my life. You have sanctified the whole Yagyashala. Please, take whatever charity you wish. I can give you cows. I could give you property. I could give you homes. I could give you islands, whatever you desire, jewels. Ask for anything you like." Vamanadev replied that if you wish to give me something, then please give me 3 steps of land. At that point, Shukracharya, he understood exactly what was going on. Very intelligent. And he spoke very strongly to his disciple. He said, "Do not give him anything. Do not give him these 3 steps of land, because you do not know he is the friend of your enemy. He is Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's come to cheat you. With his 3 steps of land, he will cover everything you own. You will be bereft of everything. He's come to cheat you. He's come to take everything away from you." Bali Maharaj said, "But I already promised I'd give him what he wants." Shukracharya, he knew the scriptures quite thoroughly. And the nature of this world is, if a scholar knows the scriptures, you can take whatever you need to know from the scriptures to justify whatever you want to do or say. Yes. That is the problem. So Shukracharya was quoting from scriptures. Yes, you have given your promise, but there are times and circumstances where the scriptures sanction breaking your promise. And he gave a whole list of reasons. When there is an emergency situation, and he gave all Shastric evidence along with a very, very harsh, prominent order. You must break your promise and not give him anything. Bali Maharaj was very thoughtful. He paused and began to meditate. There is nothing more sacred than one's truthfulness. Even if you lose everything, if you're truthful, you have something substantial. You have honor. What is the use if you have so much material opulences, but you lose your honor? In fact, it describes in this beautiful chapter that Mother Earth can tolerate any type of burden, but she cannot tolerate the burden of one liar that is stepping upon her. In fact, in this age of Kali, it's the last leg of religiosity that's wobbling, but still existing. Truthfulness. Truthfulness is one of the most important of all religious principles. In fact, it is one of the 4 legs of Dharma. And amongst civilized people who have some spiritual culture, they will not tell a lie. Never for their own purposes. Yudhisthira was an example of this. He was always truthful. Only when Krishna directly and specifically told him to tell a lie, even then he hesitated. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. We can abandon all varieties of dharma and surrender to Krishna. But devotees cannot misuse this principle. Sometimes there is transcendental trickery in an emergency situation. An emergency situation, Prabhupada explains, if a child is sick and dying and he won't take medicine, the mother will say, "This is a sweet, please eat it, laddu." And the child says, "Is there medicine in it?" And the mother says, "No, it's just laddu, eat it." But there is medicine in it. So is she a liar? Because her purpose is selfless. There's absolutely no selfish motivation. She's simply doing it out of a crisis emergency to save the life of her child. Sometimes for this reason, we may have to adulterate the truth to save a person's life. However, if it isn't for that crisis reason and done in a totally selfless spirit, that if you tell any lie, you incriminate yourself in horrible karma. But in this age of Kali, prajalpa, gramya katha is so prominent. We just do not take these things seriously. Jive bele, vishaya sagore. The tongue is the most difficult of all senses to control. The tongue can bring us back to Godhead if it vibrates the holy names, and the tongue can plunge us down to hellish conditions by speaking disrespectfully or by lying. So yes, we have to take this seriously. Prabhupada took this very seriously. Truthfulness is all important. Sometimes for a higher truth, we will adulterate relative truths. But is it really for higher truth? It's not according to what our mind says. It's according to Krishna's perception. If we tell a lie for any personal, selfish interests, then we are incriminating ourselves in karmas. And if we lie to a devotee, if we lie to God, how much we're going to have to pay the consequences of that. So a person who has actual spiritual and religious principles is willing to risk and sacrifice many cheap things of this temporary world to sustain the higher principle of truthfulness. And that was Bali Maharaj. His honor of being truthful was more precious than all of his kingdom, than his life itself, because Mother Earth cannot tolerate the burden of a liar. And he was thinking, my guru is supposed to teach me to surrender to Vishnu. So my guru's telling me that this is Vishnu, and then he's telling me not to surrender. Therefore, he's not bona fide guru. So he turned to Vamanadev and said, yes, I will grant you your request. You may take 3 steps of land. Shukracharya was really offended. Now this is a difficult situation. Not everything's always so easy in this world. Sometimes you have no choice but to offend somebody. Yes? Can you imagine Bali Maharaj's dilemma? He's in a predicament where he could have committed suicide. But outside of that alternative, he had to either offend Vishnu by lying to him, or his guru by disobeying his instruction. Very difficult situation to be in. His guru was outraged. Shukracharya said, you defy my order? Then I curse you. You will lose everything. Everything lost. Very upset. But Bali Maharaj, his heart was in bliss. He had no fear because he knew that he was truthful. He knew that he was doing the right thing. Therefore, he had no fear of any consequence. This is called integrity. Bali Maharaj was a man of exemplary integrity. Therefore, he is Mahajan. To be honest, to do the right thing, sometimes we're at risk of losing so much. But this was Bali Maharaj's integrity. He had no fear. He was willing to lose everything. He was willing to accept any reaction to do what was right and speak what was right. This is a Vaishnava. Yes, take your 3 steps. Actually, before this, when Vamanadev first asked for 3 steps, Bali Maharaj was amazed. Why only 3 steps? I'm the king of the universe. I can give you anything. You're only a dwarf. Your 3 steps are so tiny. The amount of land for 3 steps was hardly 1 step for Bali Maharaj. I can give you islands. I can give you tremendous wealth. I can give you much property. I can give you anything you want. Why only 3 steps? Ask for more. And little Vamanadev told that actually you have conquered the whole world, but in your mind you are not satisfied. I have nothing. I'm just a little dwarf with nothing, but I'm satisfied. Happiness is within. If you're not happy within your heart, you cannot be happy even if you gain the whole universe. And if you're happy within, whether you have or don't have, you'll be happy. Happiness is within the heart. I already have that. I don't need what you give me. Just give me 3 steps. Yes, take your 3 steps. He expanded himself into a universal form. He was so big, and he manifested a beautiful golden helmet, and his body just covered all directions. And he took 1 step and stepped from the lowest part of the universe all the way to the middle planetary system. And then he took another step and walked right up to the border of the universe. His foot went right by Swargaloka, Janaloka, Maharloka, Tapaloka, up to Brahmaloka and beyond. Meanwhile, Lord Brahma was worshipping his lotus foot, and Jambavan was doing pujas and circumambulating his lotus foot. It was an incredible scene. And his second step went so high it actually reached the very end of the universe, above Brahmaloka, and his toe pierced the covering of the universe. And a drop of water from the causal ocean, came out of that crack that he created and fell on his feet. And then that water that fell on his feet came down. And it is described in the Bhagavatam that the different demigods came with their flower airplane with pots to get that Charanamrit. And they brought it to their heavenly planets. And this was the origin of Ganga Devi. From the Karana ocean, the ocean in which the Lord is laying, that water entered into this universe and washed the lotus feet of Lord Vamanadev. Therefore it is Charanamrita. It is eternally sanctified and pure. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained the power of Ganga, that anyone who sees the Ganga, touches the water of the Ganga, tastes the water of the Ganga, bathes in the water of the Ganga, or even if someone is touched by a breeze that has come off the Ganga, those persons will become purified of sins, and in due course of time, love of Krishna will awaken in that person's heart. King Bhagirath, by his tremendous determination, I believe 60,000 years of tapasya he performed to bring Ganga Mata from the heavenly worlds to Gangotri in Himalayas. And thus she flows to sanctify the earth planet. So he already covered the entire universe with 2 steps. But Bali Maharaj promised him 3 steps. Bali Maharaj was watching this whole thing in ecstasy. he was just in bliss. Because he understood the substance of the integrity of his grandfather, Prahlad Maharaj. And he was following in the footsteps of Prahlad. So at that point, Garuda, understanding that Bali Maharaj was a liar. He was not keeping his promise. He promised 3 steps of land. 2 steps have already been taken. He has nothing else to give. Just imagine Bali Maharaj's predicament. Just to be truthful. He accepted the curse of Shukracharya. He accepted the risk of losing everything just to maintain being truthful. And after all, the Lord made him so he couldn't be truthful. When Krishna wants to humble someone, he is thorough. Totally thorough. Yasyaham anagrinami harishetad dhanam shanai. When Krishna wants to show his mercy to you, he'll give you what you like. But when he wants to show his supreme compassion, he may take away everything. And even turn your loved ones against you. So you have nothing and no one to turn to except him. This is the mysterious nature of Krishna's compassion. Yes, in the name of being truthful, a devotee is willing to risk everything. But in the end, he risked everything, he lost everything, and the Lord made him out to be a liar because he couldn't fulfill his promise of 3 steps. Therefore, Garuda tied him up with a serpentine rope like a prisoner. When this happened, the soldiers in Bali's army, the other demons, they were outraged. They were really, really outraged. Just see what this Vishnu is doing. He's taking everything away. If they take it away from Bali, they take it away from us. Don't think that they were selflessly serving Bali Maharaj. Whatever Bali had is what they had. Whatever he didn't have was what they lose. So the demons, they were mobilizing armies to attack Vamanadev. And Bali Maharaj said, no, do not attack. Do not harm him. But by that time, they saw that he was powerless. Who was he? He's wrapped around with ropes. So they attacked Vishnu. And Vishnu, just his associates, defeated all of the asuras. They just scattered in all directions and ran away. And now Bali Maharaj is being treated as a criminal, made into a prisoner. And he's brought, bound with ropes, before Vamanadev, who now has taken his original form as a dwarf. And when he was in that predicament, when he was in that situation, Vamanadev, he told that you have promised me 3 steps. Where should I put my 3rd? Bali Maharaj, this was a very suspenseful situation. Please, try to be there. What a suspenseful situation this is. He's tied up, he's a prisoner, everyone's around. They're watching. What will he do? Bali Maharaj, he was in bliss. Totally humiliated in front of everybody. His wife, Vindhyavali. Usually men do not like to be humiliated in front of their wife. I'm a sannyasi, but this is what I have seen. This is very unbearable for a husband to be outdone or humiliated before the wife. And his wife was watching. And all of his armies and all of his relatives and everybody around is seeing how Bali, the great king of the universe, has become an insignificant beggar, imprisoned. Nothing left. But he was happy. He was happy because he sustained his determination to maintain his truthfulness. And he was also very happy to surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He had tears of love in his eyes. Bali Maharaj spoke. He said, "My Lord, you've already taken everything. You've taken all my land, all my property, all my wealth, all my influence and prestige." He totally took his prestige away. So you've taken everything. There's only one thing left I have. My life. My body and my life. And Prabhupada explains in this regard how since it was his life that possessed all these other things, his life is actually more valuable than everything else. So the greatest gift, giving the Lord all the planets that I control, all the palaces, all the gold and jewels and all the money and all the prestige and all my followers, giving him all that is a small thing. But a real offering is to give my life, my body, mind, words. So Bali Maharaj, with great determination and a heart filled with pure devotion, he responded to the Lord with these words, "My Lord, you may place your third step on the top of my head. I surrender everything, my very life, to you." Prahlad Maharaj was so happy. He appeared and was praising the good qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is so merciful that he took everything away. Prahlad's prayer is very important. He's praising the Lord is the most merciful, the most attractive, the ultimate friend of everyone because he's taken everything away. And Bali Maharaj was thinking that actually the demigods think that the Lord is merciful to them? Not at all. The Lord is most merciful to the demons. This was Bali Maharaj's psychology. The Lord is most merciful to us demons. Do you understand this? Would you like to hear the psychology of Bali Maharaj? Because the demigods, the Lord protects them and gives them their abodes and protects their abodes and all their opulences, and they get caught up in all this sense gratification and caught up in all this false prestige, and the Lord just keeps giving it to them and protecting them. And even when the demons come and try to take it away, eventually the Lord gives it back to the demigods. So by giving them all these material things, the Lord is not really very merciful to them. But he's merciful to the demons because he takes everything away from us. He takes everything away from us. That is his mercy. He actually favors the demons. Tatenu kampam susamikshemano bunjana evatmakritam vipagam. Prabhupada quotes in this regard that when one is put into very, very difficult circumstance, a devotee is grateful. A devotee, even when the Lord is taking everything away, even when the Lord puts you in a terribly painful condition, that devotee with folded palm will thank God. This is your mercy. This is your kindness. I do not deserve this kindness. I surrender to you. To that person alone is liberation their rightful claim. Bali Maharaj manifested this principle. He personified this virtue. Bali Maharaj surrendered his life to the Lord. His own wife, Vindhyavali, was praising his good qualities. Prahlad Maharaj was praising like anything the good qualities and the good fortune of Bali Maharaj for surrendering and losing everything for the Lord. Bali Maharaj meditated on Prahlad. That was how he got his courage to surrender to everything. He meditated on his grandfather Prahlad. And he followed in his footsteps. Mahajano yena gata sapanta. How did Bali Maharaj become a Mahajan? Because he followed in the footsteps of a Mahajan. He became Mahajan, one of the greatest authorities, because he followed a previous Mahajan, Prahlad. Prahlad was fearless. He would not tell a lie to his father. His father asked, what is the best thing you learned? The best thing I've learned, my father, is that people who are too much attached to sense gratification like you, who are deeply fallen into a blind well where there's no water, there's only misery, people who are too much attached to this bodily conception of life and all their bodily attachments, they simply suffer in a dark, deep well. There's only one hope. Go to Vrindavan, take shelter of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as your only refuge. How many of you would say that to Hiranyakashipu when it's just the two of you standing face to face? That was Prahlad. He could have changed his mind any time, but he didn't. He was willing to be put in fire, put in pits of snakes. He was willing to be subjected to poison and thrown off cliffs and mountains and oceans. But he maintained his integrity. He was determined. Bali Maharaj followed in the footsteps of Prahlad. He was determined to not deter from the integrity of his honesty, his truthfulness, and his promise to the Lord. So, Lord Vamanadev was so happy. He was so happy by Bali Maharaj's unconditional, unmotivated surrender. He was not hoping or expecting anything in return. He gave his everything. Atmanivedanam. He surrendered everything unconditionally. But the Lord, He reciprocates with our surrender. Ye yatamam prapadyante tams tataiva bhajamaham. Therefore the Lord gave Bali Maharaj a planet to rule over, Sutala, because he had nothing else. And Prahlad Maharaj wanted to be with him. He said, I will also go to Sutala to live with my grandson. Prahlad was so happy. He was so proud. How many grandfathers are proud of their son when they surrender everything? Prahlad. And Vamanadev was so grateful. Vamanadev, by his own sweet will, accepted the role of the doorkeeper for Bali Maharaj. Now that's a very menial service, is it not? A doorman. Guarding the door for Bali Maharaj. Why did he accept that humble service? That same Lord who just manifested Upendra form, Trivikram form, the supreme Lord of all lords, who with three steps covered the universe and conquered Bali, he accepted the very humble position of the doorkeeper for Bali because he could not give up the association of this devotee. He wanted to always give satisfaction to Bali Maharaj. Manmanabhava madbhakto madhyajim nam namaskuru mami vaishashi satyam te pratijani priyoshime. Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me and offer your homage unto me. In this way you will come to me without fail. This is my promise, my dear friend. Vamanadev was always there in the vision of Bali Maharaj, so he could always remember him with love. There are many glorious lessons to be learned by this story. But ultimately, like so many other leelas of the Lord really descends to this world to glorify his devotee. Narasimha Dev appeared in this world to give glory to Prahlad. Krishna appeared in this world to give glory to the Brajbasis, to the Yadus. And Vamanadev, in his own inconceivable, extraordinary way, came to glorify Bali Maharaj forevermore as the personified example of one who attains the ultimate perfection of pure love of God by surrendering everything. Shri Vamana Dev ki jai. Shri Bali Maharaj ki jai. Shri Prahlad Maharaj ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Go Premanandi. How Prabhupada surrendered everything. He also gave up everything. He was in Radha Damodar temple, Seva Kunj, Vrindavan. He gave up his home, his eternal home of Vrindavan. Gave up his health, heart attacks, strokes, everything. His life was threatened in New York City. He was robbed, and whatever little he had even to translate books was stolen. Tateno kampam susamikshamano yasyaham anukrinnami harishitatanam shanai. Yes, Prabhupada, following in the footsteps of Bali Maharaj, whatever Krishna took away from him, he was determined. This is the substance of a true Vaishnava, that determination to do the will of the Lord no matter what the consequences may be. If we only do the will of the Lord because we think we're going to be rewarded in a positive way, we're not really a devotee. Prahlad said, we're just doing business with the Lord. A devotee is determined to do the will of the Lord, even if it means crisis, tragedy, difficulties. That's the substance of a true devotee. I remember at New Vrindavan, a devotee asked Prabhupada once, sitting on a lawn, that what if we take initiation and then due to weakness, we fall down. Prabhupada was so strong. He said, if you are weak, rectify it. You have given your word before Bhagavan in the deity form. You have given your word before Bhagavan in the form of the sacred fire. You have given your word before the spiritual master and the assembled Vaishnavas. There's nothing more sacred, there's nothing more priceless in our life than our word. And a devotee must be determined to live by their word, by their promise to God. That determination is what brings about integrity. And that integrity is what pleases Krishna. Yes, Bali Maharaj was a man of such integrity. And the path of perfection, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quoted from Mahabharata, there's only one way we can attain the goal of life. Mahajano yena katasa pantha, to follow in the footsteps of the great souls. So yes, the Supreme Personality of Godhead put Bali Maharaj in the most difficult condition that anyone could possibly comprehend, just to show his glory. It is also the appearance day of Sri Jiva Goswami, which is a much longer story. Should I speak something? If you have to go, please do go. Don't feel any social pressures to stay. But Brajahari Prabhu told me I should speak till 10 o'clock. So I've taken that order on my head. I'll speak with your permission. A few remembrances of the incredible glories of Sri Jiva Goswami. According to Bhakti Ratnakar by Narahari Chakravarti, the Supreme Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he came to Ramkeli during his first attempted visit to Vrindavan, especially to meet these three brothers. Rupa, Sanatan, and Sri Ballabha. At that time, they were the prime minister, chief ministers of Nawab Hussain Shah, the undisputed king of Bengal. He was so pleased with them that he awarded them the very high titles, Sakar Malik, Dabir Khas. He gave them immense wealth, immense prestige. All the opulences of the world they possessed to extraordinary degrees. They were young, they were handsome, they were wealthy, they were powerful, they were so deeply learned in various languages, histories, scriptures. But they were longing for the loving service of the Lord. They did not want to waste their time in these mundane activities. They wrote repeated letters to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, pleading with him to tell what they should do. Meanwhile, their mother and father, who were Saraswat Brahmins, hailing originally from Karnataka, they were praying and even performing pujas to free their children from these materialistic activities and serving a cruel, wicked person. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he answered their prayer and personally came to Ramkeli, where he performed a grand Sankirtan. In the middle of the night, he was sitting under a tamal tree and a kadamba tree, which were side by side. And the three brothers, they disguised themselves in common people's clothes, although they were actually royal ministers. And they met Lord Nityananda Prabhu and Srila Haridas Thakur and fell at their feet, worshipped them. And by Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur's compassion, they were brought in to meet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They fell at Lord Chaitanya's feet, weeping and crying with straw between their teeth, personifying the ultimate realization of humility, considering themselves the most fallen. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "Please stand up, your humility is breaking my heart." Mahaprabhu had to lift them up and embrace them. A wonderful dialogue took place. They surrendered. Lord Chaitanya placed his feet on their head, gave him the names Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, and Anupam. Jiva Goswami was just a tiny child. He followed his father and uncle up to a certain point, and he watched this interaction of divine love. Not only did he watch, but he could hear. For those of you who have gone to Ramkeli, there is the meeting place of Rup Sanatan and Lord Chaitanya, along with Anupam. And a little bit of a distance away, there's a beautiful temple, even today, which is where Jiva Goswami, as a tiny child, was standing and watching. Jiva Goswami took the beautiful form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu into the very core of his heart. And really, he surrendered. He surrendered to Lord Chaitanya at that time. Meanwhile, on the order of Lord Chaitanya, Rupa Goswami and the brother Anupam, they left their government services, sold all their things, and were heading for Jagannath Puri after Vrindavan. And at that time, Anupam gave up his body on the banks of the river Ganges. Soon after that, Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami met in Vrindavan. When the news reached the heart of Jiva that his father had died and that his uncles gave up the vast wealth and treasures of this world to live as Goswami beggars in the forests of Vrindavan, he had absolutely no concern for anything material. He wanted to follow in the footsteps of his uncles. What is the use of this body which is subject to death? What is the use of all the opulences of this world which are subjected to death? He wanted that which was immortal. He wanted that treasure that his uncles had achieved. Devotional service in the renounced order. He was still living in Ramakeli, in great wealth. He had jewels, he had fine clothes. He wouldn't wear his jewels. He wouldn't wear his fine clothes. All his friends were playing so many enjoyable games. He had no interest in any of these games. He made deities of Krishna Balaram. They were his life and soul. day and night he worshipped Sri Krishna Balaram. He would bow down to them. He would pick flowers and make garlands for them. He would offer pujas to them. He would get bhoga and offer to them. He would dance for them. He would sing for them. And sometimes for hours and hours at a time, wrapped in love, he would just gaze upon them with his eyes. Even when he would go to sleep at night, he would sleep with both of his arms embracing Sri Sri Krishna Balaram. As he grew a little older, he had a dream. In this dream, he witnessed Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, along with Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Prabhu, Gadadhar, Srivas, and all of his associates performing Nam Sankirtan. Jiva Goswami's heart was in bliss. He was seeing again that beautiful form of the Lord that he surrendered to when he was a small little child. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu dancing a Nam Sankirtan with the holy names emitting from his lotus-like lips captured the life of Jiva Goswami. Then the dream disappeared. And little Jiva was in tremendous separation from who he has just seen. Then another dream appeared. He saw Krishna and Balaram. The same Ishtadevs that he was worshipping all day and all night. Krishna Balaram. Krishna had dark complexion like tamal tree, with a peacock feather decorating his crown. He was gazing upon little Jiva with such love and affection. Balaramji had a beautiful complexion like a spring cloud. Blue garments, gazing upon Jiva with deep, infinite spiritual affection. Little Jiva surrendered his heart, his life to Krishna Balaram, and right before his eyes, Krishna transformed into the beautiful golden body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Balaram became Lord Nityananda. He had the vision of what Narottam Das Thakur has sung. Brajendra Nandana Jay Sachi Sutta Hoilo Se Balaram Hoilo Nitai. That the son of Nanda has become the son of Sachi, and Balaram has become Nityananda Prabhu. Then he understood so very clearly that Gaur Nitai were his worshipable object of love, Krishna and Balaram. And from that day on, he was simply weeping and crying in separation from them, just waiting for the opportunity to escape from home. When he became a teenager, people didn't know what to think. They were praising him, but it was inconceivable. Little Jiva, he was such a beautiful person. He had such magnanimous qualities of self-control, honesty, humility, and there were always tears of love in separation decorating his form. He cared nothing but the service of the Lord. People praised him. His poor widowed mother was the only child. He told he wanted to go to visit his ancestral home, Fatehabad. So mother gave permission and a boat was arranged. He got in the boat and told the boatman, "Take me to Navadvip Dham." What about Fatehabad? take me to Navadvip Dham. He went to Sri Navadvip, and there he asked, where is Nityananda Prabhu? His worshipable deity of heart, where is Nityananda Prabhu? And he was guided to go to the house of Srivas. Meanwhile, Nityananda Prabhu understood within the core of his heart that little Jiva was coming to see him. So Nityananda Prabhu told his devotees, Srivas and others, to find him and bring him. And Jiva Goswami came and surrendered his heart at the feet of Nityananda Prabhu. And by Nityananda Prabhu's causeless mercy, he personally took him on a parikrama of the 9 islands, Navadvip. Thakur Bhakti Vinod has very nicely explained this parikrama in Navadvip Dham Mahatmya. They went to the house of Sachi Devi where they met Sachi Mata and Vishnu Priya, who cooked wonderful prasad for Jiva and Nityananda Prabhu. At the house of Srivas Thakur, Srivasangam, they were longing to see the Sankirtan of Lord Chaitanya and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu manifest with all of his associates right before their eyes to perform Nam Sankirtan. How would you like to go on parikram with Nityananda Prabhu? These are the type of experiences you will receive. After the parikrama was complete, Nityananda Prabhu instructed Jiva that you should go to Varanasi to study under the younger brother of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. His name, Madhusudan Vachaspati. Because after Lord Chaitanya converted Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he understood all the scriptures thoroughly from the point of view of pure devotional service. And Madhusudan Vachaspati learned from Sarvabhauma. He was a pure devotee and a great scholar. He said, you go to Varanasi and you study the Shastras. And after your education is complete with Madhusudan Vachaspati, go to Vrindavan. Because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given Vrindavan Dham to your family. And there be reunited with your uncles. And assist them in their devotional service. He went to Varanasi after taking the blessings of Nityananda Prabhu and all the assembled Vaishnavas in Navadvip. And he studied in such a way that his name and fame spread throughout all the land as being the greatest scholar. He mastered all the various schools of philosophy. His power to present the absolute truth was so impressive that people were considering him even then to be the greatest philosopher of the world. And Madhusudan Vachaspati, his own teacher, was praising his glories. After his training, he took the blessings of his teacher, traveled to Vrindavan. And there he joined Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami. What a wonderful reunion this was. When Jiva Goswami came to Vrindavan, he was hardly 20 years old. Rupa and Sanatana, he only saw them when he was when he was a very small child. So many long years have gone by when he was weeping in separation from their association. The blissful experience of the reunion when they met is one of the greatest incidents of Vaishnava history. Jiva Goswami requested the elder brother, Sanatana Goswami, to be his guru and give him initiation. Sanatana Goswami, out of great humility, considered Rupa Goswami to be the more qualified, although Sanatana Goswami was Rupa Goswami's guru. This is Vaishnava interactions. So Sanatana Goswami entrusted Jiva under the care of Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami engaged Jiva in menial service to prepare him before taking the vows of initiation. What a wonderful, wonderful example was established in this Leela. Here is Jiva Goswami, Saraswat Brahman, coming from a dynasty of royalty, already claimed to be greatest scholar and philosopher of the world. But Rupa Goswami gave him the most menial, insignificant forms of service. He would wash the utensils. He would prepare the arti paraphernalia. He would sweep and clean the kutir and the areas around his Guru Maharaj's place of worship. He would massage his Guru Maharaj's feet. He would go out and collect palm leaves and prepare them for his Guru Maharaj's writings. He would help his Guru Maharaj in his service in every possible menial way. This is Vaishnava culture. That every great devotee must never think themselves above the position of being a menial servant. If Jiva Goswami is willing to do such menial services as sweeping and washing, what is our position? For some time, Rupa Goswami engaged Jiva Goswami in this way. And then when he saw that he had actually imbibed the real spirit of what a Vaishnava is, it's not simply about scholarship. That can be used in Krishna's service in a wonderful way. But the spirit of servitude is the essence of Vaishnavism. And even the most menial service becomes the most significant in the eyes of Krishna if it is done with sincerity. He received initiation. Later on, Rupa Goswami, out of his love for Jiva, with his own hands personally carved the deities that Rupa Goswami named Radha Damodar. Rupa Goswami installed those deities, prana pratishta, personally worshipped those deities. And then with great affection, he entrusted the care of Radha Damodar to his foremost disciple, Jiva Goswami. Sri Radha Damodar, Jiva Goswami Prandanahe, they were his life and soul. Service to the Vaishnavas and service to Radha Damodar was all that Jiva Goswami knew in his life. and the Lord reciprocates according to our affection. Bhakti Ratnakar describes some of the wonderful leelas between Radha Damodar and Jiva Goswami. One time Jiva Goswami was doing some preparations for his seva to Radha Damodar when he heard the mystifying sound of a flute. That sound vibration was so nectarine, it entered into Jiva Goswami's ears and into his heart. It enchanted him. Where is this flute coming from? He went running to the deity of Radha Damodar. And he saw with his own eyes Sri Damodar playing flute, smiling upon Jiva Goswami and dancing to his own music. Jiva Goswami was in an ecstatic state, and Damodar said to him, "Please feed me, I am hungry." Jiva Goswami prepared the bhoga and made the offering. In this way, Jiva Goswami, day and night, was absorbed in always thinking of the beautiful form of Sri Radha Damodar. And this is how he spent his life in Vrindavan. The bell has rung, and my time has expired. But Brajahari is not here. So neither can I ask him for permission to continue, nor is he here to stop me from continuing. So I am in a dilemma. But in honor of his word, I will end within 1 or 2 minutes. There is much to speak, but I will end. There are many stories of Jiva Goswami's devotional service and his unbelievable contributions to the world. There is that story of Rup Narayan, who was a Digvijay Pandit with the Jayata Patra. He came to Vrindavan after going all over the whole length and breadth of India, defeating every possible scholar in debate. And he challenged Rup Sanatan. "I have heard your glories. You're the last big scholars in all the land that I have not defeated. I challenge you to debate." Rup Sanatan, "You have heard that we're great scholars?" "Yes, I challenge." He said, No, we are not scholars. We cannot stand before you. You are a great scholar. I challenge you. He said, "Why should you waste your time challenging us? We are not fit to compete with you." "Then do you accept defeat?" "Yes, we accept defeat." "You will sign it, Jayata Patra? You will put in your own writing that I have been totally defeated by Rup Narayan, Rup Sanatan?" "Yes, we will write." They immediately wrote, "We have been defeated by Rup Narayan." And they signed their names. Very nice. And Rupa goes, can you imagine the benediction? Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said in Jagannath Puri that Rupa Goswami's handwriting were like rows of pearls. I'm thinking, what a great fortune, Rup Narayan, to get Rup and Sanatan's autographs. It will be worth doing anything or saying anything to get their autographs, which are like rows of pearls. He had the wrong intention, but he got a great treasure. But then he heard that Jiva Goswami, who was still quite young, he was of such a standard of substantial philosophical knowledge that he would not really attain the world fame that he wanted unless he also defeated Jiva. And he thought this will be easy. If his two gurus surrender to me, then he must also not be difficult. Because you see, Rupa Narayan believed Rupa Goswami, that they were not really very intelligent, they were not very scholarly, and they were not fit to fight with him. He didn't see that they were humble, because people who are too much puffed up, they cannot appreciate the humility of a humble person. Everyone sees the world through the mirror of their own consciousness. So he challenged Jiva Goswami. Jiva Goswami said, no, I am not qualified to debate with you. But he said, I have already defeated your father and uncle. They have signed Jayatra Patra. You signed. Huh? Rupa Sanatan? He saw their autograph. Impossible. You cannot defeat them. They signed out of their total humility, and you're going to broadcast all over the world that you defeated them and ruin their good fame and name? You're going to destroy the whole credibility and integrity of Vaishnavism? No, I accept your challenge. They sat on the banks of the Yamuna for 7 days. And in the end, Jiva Goswami was victorious. Rup Narayan did not get his autograph. And he just very secretly, in a cloud of shame, just crawled out of the forest of Vrindavan. Meanwhile, when the news came to Rupa Goswami what Jiva had done, Rupa Goswami told Jiva Goswami that, why did you waste your time debating with this mundane scholar? Time is so precious. Time should be used in the service of Thakurji. It should not be used for the purpose of just wrangling mundane debates with scholars. You have debated with him. You have fallen into the trap of Maya due to your false pride. Vrindavan Dham is that place where false pride is not tolerated. No one with a trace of pride has a right to remain in Vrindavan. You must leave this place. This is a very, very serious message. Who's actually living in Vrindavan? According to Rupa Goswami's calculation, Trinadapi sunichena tarori vasihishnuna amanyana manadena kirtaniya sadahari. Lord Chaitanya told Rupa and Sanatan that your humility is breaking my heart. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami describes Rupa and Sanatan as the supreme personifications of the principles of humility. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya gave Vrindavan to them. They expected the same of Jiva Goswami. Living in Vrindavan is not about buying property. Living in Vrindavan is not about just being there. Living in Vrindavan is not about getting a position or a title. Living in Vrindavan is about serving with absolutely no sense of false prestige. That is Vrindavan. That is what the Goswamis teach us. Even if your body's in Vrindavan, if you have a sense of prestige, you are not in Vrindavan. Don't brag that I live in Vrindavan. You are not in Vrindavan. Prestige is a thing of this mundane world. Vrindavan is revealed to us. We are in the Vrindavan consciousness. when there is no sense of pride. Now, Jiva Goswami, he was so humble. The fact is, he had no sense of pride. He did not debate with Rup Narayan because he wanted to make his name famous for defeating the Digvijay. He cared nothing for that. He spit at false prestige. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that the prestige of this world, even the prestige of being a great Vaishnava, attachment to prestige is attachment to the wretched stool of a boar. Very graphic. Can you think of anything more abominable than a boar's stool? If you're attached to prestige, my opinion is have a careful study of the stool of a boar. Smell it. Taste it. Feel it. See it. Hear it as it's coming out. Then you'll know what you're attached to. The prestige of this world. Jiva Goswami had not a trace of it. He debated against Rup Narayan only because he wanted to defend the prestige of his gurus. And that is all important. He wanted to defend the prestige of Vaishnavism and the great Acharyas, not his own. The prestige of Guru, Vaishnavas, and the Acharyas, that is more precious than the most precious gold. But our own prestige must be seen as the stool of a boar. So he had nothing. But still, Rupa Goswami chastised him. He was right, and he was being accused of being wrong. And he was so humble and so genuine that his guru says, my guru says I have false prestige, I have false prestige. My guru says I'm wrong, I'm wrong. There was no argument. There was no excuses. But, Gurudev, but you don't understand. No, yes, I do not belong in Vrindavan. I am not qualified. And he went to Mathura. And there he performed severe austerities. Weeping and crying, eating only once a day some just wheat flour mixed with water. Chanting the holy names constantly and praying to the Lord to remove this pride from his heart, for he can be accepted by his guru in Vrindavan Dham. This was his sense of going to Vrindavan. It wasn't just about boarding the August Kranti and going to Vrindavan. We may go there for service. But actually, this is the mood. Jiva Goswami. Weeping, crying, fasting, chanting, praying for months at a time to qualify himself to go to Vrindavan, according to his Guru Maharaj's expectations of who could be in Vrindavan. Sanatana Goswami met him, and Sanatana Goswami told Rupa Goswami that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he has given us his cardinal teachings. And one of them is Jiva Doya, kindness to Jiva. Rupa Goswami understood. Jiva Goswami came back to him weeping in repentance and fell at Rupa Goswami's feet. And Rupa Goswami embraced him and so lovingly Rupa Goswami personally nursed him back to good health. How wonderful. Rupa Goswami personally took care of him like a mother and nursed him back to health. The purpose of this pastime is Rupa Goswami wanted to teach the world the glories of Jiva Goswami, the glories of a true Vaishnav, and the glories of a person who is actually a resident of Vrindavan Dham. Nothing great is cheap. Cheap things are cheap. Great things have their cost. And what is the cost of Vrindavan? What is the cost of Krishna? The surrender of the heart. And surrender the heart is about surrendering our false ego as the humble das, 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 anu, das. Not das, 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 das. Das, 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 anu, das. That word anu is the key. Because you could be a proud servant of the servant of the servant too. But an insignificant, tiny, humble servant of the servant of the servant of the servant. Thus, Jiva Goswami lived in the association of these Vaishnavas. Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, Lokanath Goswami, Bhugarba Goswami, Kashishwar Pandit, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. And he served his Guru Maharajas. He was helping to edit their books, helping them in every way. He had a bhajan kutir at Sri Radha Kund where he performed his bhajan for many years. Soon after Sanatan Goswami left this world, Rupa Goswami also departed. And it was the unanimous feeling of all the Vaishnavas that Jiva Goswami be their leader. He was the prominent Acharya after Rupa and Sanatan departed. There are stories about the Emperor Akbar coming to Vrindavan and meeting Jiva Goswami and was so deeply impressed that he wanted to assist in so many ways. By Jiva Goswami's arrangement, a beautiful temple was made for Radha Damodar. Before that, Jiva Goswami personally arranged for the Samadhi Mandir to be made of Rupa Goswami right near his bhajan kutir in the Sevakunj region. Jiva Goswami made a library to keep and protect all the books that the Goswamis had written in their original forms. His leelas are all attractive to the heart. Janava Devi, she came to Vrindavan, the consort of Nityananda Prabhu. And Jiva Goswami met her, humbly served her, made every arrangement for her comforts, brought her to Radha Kund and Parikram of Braj. Jiva Goswami was later on informed by Janava Devi that in the absence of Lord Chaitanya and so many of his associates, the devotees in Bengal and Orissa were feeling too much separation. And they required the books that Lord Chaitanya had ordered Rup, Sanatan, Jiva, Kaviraj Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami to write. So it was Jiva Goswami who arranged for the first book distribution party in the history of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. He was the coordinator. It was on his order that Narottam Das Thakur, Srinivasa Acharya, and Shyamananda Goswami led that historical book distribution party. Srinivasa Acharya was the party leader, but it was on the order of Jiva Goswami. It was by the inspiration of Jiva Goswami. He personally arranged for the books of the Goswamis to be wrapped very carefully. He arranged for wooden boxes to be made, filled with those books. Jiva Goswami arranged, through his disciples, oxen and cart, bullock, to take those books. And on a most he sent Srinivasa Acharya, Narottam Das Thakur, and Shyamananda Prabhu to travel throughout Braj to get the blessings of all the great souls, especially Srila Raghunath Das Goswami at Sri Radha Kund. Oh, how he wept, feeling the imminent separation from these three great souls. Srinivasa Acharya was initiated by Gopal Bhatta Goswami, Narottam Das Thakur by Lokanath Goswami, and Shyamananda Prabhu by Hriday Chaitanya in Ambika Kalna. All these three great acharyas, they personally sent their disciples to study under Jiva Goswami. Disciples of various gurus, but they were the most intimate, loving friends, studying under their Shiksha Guru. Jiva Goswami spent years and years and years giving his heart and his soul and his life to instruct them and teach them in Lord Chaitanya's teachings, as Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami revealed through their books. There was no question of sectarianism, my guru, your guru. They were the most loving, intimate friends. They had the deepest respect for each other because they were all serving the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So yes, Jiva Goswami, on a very auspicious day, walked with them from Vrindavan to Mathura, and then walked with them to the very border of Braj Bhumi, and then bid them farewell. And how Jiva Goswami prayed to Sri Radha Damodar to protect them for the success of their mission, to go to Bengal, to print and publish. Of course, in those days, printing was by copying with hand. But to have these writers, what are they called? Scribes. Janavadevi was going to organize many scribes to copy these books and circulate them. That was their mission. Yes, Sri Jiva Goswami wrote so many wonderful books himself. He personally authored over 400,000 Sanskrit verses, over 25 books. The most prolific of the 6 Goswamis. And the Vaishnavas consider that Gaudiya Vaishnavism is the greatest philosophy in all the world. And Jiva Goswami is the greatest philosopher in all the world. His Satsandarbhas, both with the deepest, most esoteric rasa of love and the most profound, systematic presentation of philosophy based on the authority of the scripture. He has established the teachings of Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva of Mahaprabhu and Srimad Bhagavatam as supreme within the world. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, on the order of his Guru Maharaj, was to write books and through them spread the teachings of Lord Chaitanya in the English language throughout the world. Srila Prabhupada, by his own sweet love, by his own unlimited faith, made the decision to put his bhajan kutir at the temple of Jiva Goswami, just beside the deities of Jiva Goswami. Just a few seconds walk from the Samadhi Mandir of Jiva Goswami. And right at the lotus feet of the Samadhi Mandir of Rupa Goswami. It was there that Srila Prabhupada, day and night, immersed himself in preparing himself for his mission. In those little rooms of Jiva Goswami's temple, he had written the translations and purports of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam in 3 volumes. With the blessings of Jiva Goswami and Rupa Goswami, he went to distribute these books and to preach the substance of these books to the whole world. Yes, Jiva Goswami, by his inspiration, Narottam Das Thakur, Srinivas Acharya, and Shyamananda Prabhu left Radha Damodar temple, left Vrindavan to go to another country, Bengal. Srila Prabhupada, with the inspiration and blessings of Jiva and Rupa Goswamis, departed from Radha Damodar temple, following in the footsteps of these great Acharyas to spread the glories of the Harinam Sankirtan movement all over the world. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Go Premanandi. Thank you very much. Jai.